Perhaps more than any other institution in the field of spoken English, personal development, and soft skills, KV Institute of Spoken English and Soft Skills has changed the technique of learning effective communication and spoken English in Andhra Pradesh. Our most famous course on spoken English, interview skills, and effective communication has helped many people in Andhra Pradesh. Our mission is to help others overcome the fear of communication in English so they could achieve their dreams. With all the sessions in this program, which is called Complete Home English Learning Program, you can now benefit from the experience and insightful thoughts to learn and speak in English, along with effective communication and interview skills, which many people have discovered from KV Institute. By following the ideas and techniques presented in this program, you will become an effective and powerful communicator who would be able to make things happen and be successful in communication as well as improve interview skills. Now, KVIS is proud to bring you Advanced English, Effective Communication and a session on interview skills. Advanced English. Our first topic would be sentence structure. Learning outcomes from this topic. Sentence structure and its importance, word order to make a good English sentence, forms of sentence, and types of sentence. Now, let us know what is a sentence. A sentence is a group of words with a subject and a predicate. When a subject and a predicate express a complete thought, it is called sentence. To make sure your sentences are clear and complete, you should be able to recognize the subject and the verb in a sentence. By following the simple steps below, you would be able to easily identify subject and verb. To be able to find the subject in a sentence, you need to ask yourself what word is the sentence describing. And you also need to ask yourself what did the subject do to find out the action verb. The meaning of an English sentence completely depends on how we arrange the order of words. For instance, the player dropped the catch. It is a very simple sentence. By placing the subject before the verb and the object after the verb. The adverbials how, when, and where generally come after verb or after the subject. I waited at the theatre till 5:30. I waited where? At the theatre. When? Till 5:30. Now let's see forms of sentence. A sentence has 4 forms. They are statement or declarative sentence. These sentences end with a full stop or a period. Question or interrogative sentence. This sentence ends with a question mark. Command or imperative sentence. These sentences end with a period or an exclamation mark. Exclamation or exclamatory sentence. These sentences end with an exclamation mark. Let us see sentence types. There are 4 types of sentences. They are simple sentence, compound sentence, complex sentence, and compound complex sentence. Let us know about simple sentence. A sentence which has one independent clause is called a simple sentence. It has one subject and one verb, although either or both can be a compound. A simple sentence can have adjectives and adverbs. A simple sentence cannot have second independent clause or a subordinate clause. Let's see the example. The ice cream melted in the sunshine. In this sentence, the subject is ice cream and the verb is melted. Let's see another example, which is a complete sentence but will not have a verb, which is made in India. In this sentence, there is no verb. This bike is made in India. This is another sentence which has a verb and it is a complete sentence. Let's see compound sentence. A sentence which has 2 or more independent clauses is called a compound sentence. The independent clauses can be joined in one of the two ways. The two ways are with a coordinating conjunction or with a semicolon. Let's see how we can join the two independent clauses with a coordinating conjunction. There are 6 coordinating conjunctions which are for, and then, but and yet, or, so. For in a sentence is used for a reason, and is used for addition, and then is used for continuation. But or yet can be used for contrast sentences, or is used to join the clauses which have choice. So is used in the clauses which shows result. Now let's see how we can join two independent clauses with a semicolon. We can use conjunctive adverbs like accordingly, besides, however, moreover, after all, consequently, finally. For example, nevertheless, regardless, still, though, etc. Now let's see complex sentences. A sentence which has one independent clause and at least one dependent clause is called a complex sentence. The independent clause is called the main clause. These sentences use subordinating conjunctions to link ideas. The subordinating conjunctions are words such as because, as if, unless, provided that, if, even if. Now let's see compound complex sentence. A sentence which has at least two independent clauses and at least one dependent clause is called compound complex sentence. The dependent clause can also be a part of the independent clause. We can use because, since, as to form a compound complex sentence. Now let's go to our next topic, agreement. The learning outcomes from this topic would be meaning of agreement, subject and verb agreement, types of subject and verb agreements. Some things just seem to go together well. We carry this concept over into grammar by matching all sentence parts. This matching of sentence elements is called agreement. It helps you to create smooth and logical sentences. The basic rule of sentence agreement is very simple. A subject must agree with its verb in number. Number means singular or plural. A singular subject such as name, person, place, thing or idea, or a plural subject in names, more than one person, places, things or ideas. A singular subject must have a singular verb. The first rule of it is a subject must agree with its verb in number. Let's see an example. He drives slowly, making the drivers behind him impatient. In the sentence above, he is a singular subject and drives is a singular verb. Let's see another example. I am ready to play now. In the above sentence, I needs a singular verb am. Let's see the rule number 2. When two or more singular subjects are joined by or, nor, should have a singular verb. This gives a perfect meaning to a sentence as you are choosing between two singular objects. Example, either Venu or Gopal has to open the innings. In the above stated sentence, only one person, either Venu or Gopal, has to open the innings. The two singular subjects, Venu and Gopal, joined by or would take a singular verb has. Let's go through the rule number 3. A singular verb is needed for subjects that are singular in meaning but plural in form. Subjects such as civics, social studies, mumps, news, economics and mathematics. Example, economics is a very interesting subject. In the above stated sentence, with singular subject economics, singular verb is has been used. Let's see rule number 4. Plural subjects that function as a single unit take a single verb. The scissors is on the table. In this case, scissors is a singular subject and it requires a singular verb which is. A plural subject must have a plural verb. Just as singular subject requires a singular verb, so a plural subject requires a plural verb. Let's see an example. Students at medical colleges read about 60,000 pages in 4 years. In the above sentence, students is a plural subject and read is a plural verb. The second rule would be if two or more plural subjects joined by or nor needs to have a plural verb. Let's see an example. Either my parents or my grandparents are clearing the table. In the above instance, parents and grandparents are plural subjects. So, plural verbs have been used. Now, let's go to our next topic, punctuation. You'd be able to learn from this topic punctuation symbols such as apostrophes, colons, commas, dashes, exclamation marks, hyphens, parentheses, periods, question marks, quotation marks, semicolons, and slashes. Let's see apostrophes. The apostrophe is mainly used in 3 ways: to show possession or ownership, to show plural forms, to show where a letter or number has been omitted. You need to use an apostrophe to show possession. With singular nouns or pronouns not ending in s, add an apostrophe and an s. Example, a shirt, the shirt's color. With singular nouns ending with an s, add an apostrophe and an s. If it is hard to pronounce, you can leave off the s. Words like Roberts, Robertses. With plural nouns not ending with s, add an apostrophe and an s. People, peoples. Woman, women's. With plural nouns ending with s, add an apostrophe after the s. Computers, teachers. There is very simple technique to identify where to put an apostrophe, which is you need to analyze to whom does it belong. And for instance, my friend's car. When you analyze, you can find whom does the car belong to. As it belongs to your friend and your friend is a singular, so the answer would be my friend's car. Now let's see the second way to use apostrophes, which is to show plural forms. Apostrophe can be used to show plural form. An apostrophe and an s can be used after a number, symbol, letter, etc. 5 sevens, 2 twos, twos. And the third way where you can use an apostrophe is to show where a letter or number has been omitted. In words like will not, you'd be using won't, could not, couldn't, I will, I'll. Apostrophe can also be used to show numbers out of date. For instance, the 80s, 90s, etc. Let's see our next topic, colons. You need to use a colon after an independent clause to introduce a list. Remember that an independent clause is a complete sentence. The colon is 2 dots, one on top of each other. Use a colon after an independent clause to introduce a quotation. Use a colon before the part of sentence that explains what has just been stated. You need to use a colon after salutation of a business letter. Instances like Dear Mr. Venu, to whom it may concern. You need to use a colon to distinguish a chapter from a verse in a biblical citation, hours from minutes, and titles from subtitles. Now let's see commas. Commas are the most frequently used marks of punctuation in English. In fact, commas occur in writing twice as often as all other marks of punctuation. Commas tell us how to read and understand sentences because they tell us where to pause. Let's see how a comma can be used. It is used to set off parts of a sentence. Use a comma to separate parts of a compound sentence. You need to use a comma before the coordinating conjunction. For instance, the tickets were sold out, so we decided to have dinner. As there was a comma after sold out, I had to pause over there. You need to use commas to set off dialogues. Venu said, "This movie won national award." Use a comma to separate the parts of an address. You know how to write addresses by separating commas, right? You need to use comma after introductory and concluding expressions. After an introductory word such as, "Yes, I'd be able to make it on time to the movie. However, I might not be able to finish it on time." Use a comma after introductory phrase such as, "To be able to finish it on time, you should work hard. Beginning tomorrow, I'd be able to attend the classes." Always use a comma after a greeting such as, "Dear Dad, Dear Venu." You need to use a comma after interrupting words and expressions such as, "The latest movie from Kamal Hassan, did you know, has been released across the world." Let's see dashes. A dash is not the same as a hyphen. A dash is used to add emphasis with additional information. Exclamation marks. Use an exclamation mark after every exclamatory sentence. "How dare you? What a pleasant surprise!" Let's see our next topic, hyphens. A hyphen is smaller than a dash. It is used to show a break in words. Traditionally, a hyphen was used to show a word break at the end of a line. However, modern computer software has virtually eliminated this use of hyphen. You need to use hyphen in compound nouns such as nowadays, great-grandmother, pea-sized, and also you need to use hyphens in written out fractions and in written out compound numbers such as 21, 1/2, 55. Parenthesis. Use parenthesis to set off non-essential information because it gives the reader additional information that is not crucial. Parenthesis or brackets is used to enclose additional information in a sentence. It is also used to enclose numbers or letters. Periods. Use a period after a complete sentence. A period is a full stop. You need to also use period after most abbreviations and initials. There might be instances wherein an abbreviation might come at the end of a sentence. However, there is no need for you to add another period after that, such as Dr., Miss, Junior, Mr., Mrs. Question marks. Use a question mark after a question. Now let's see quotation marks. You need to use quotation marks to set off speaker's exact words. For instance, "Do you want to come with us to the movie?" Venu asked. You need to use quotation marks to set off the titles of short works such as poems, essays, songs, short stories, and magazine articles. Use single quotation marks to set off quoted material or titles of short works. You need to use quotation marks to set off words used for emphasis or a definition. Semicolons. A semicolon is a comma and a period kind of a combined punctuation mark which is used to indicate a major division in a sentence where a more distinct separation is felt between the clauses. You need to use a semicolon between closely related independent clauses when the coordinating conjunction has been left out. For instance, my mom prepared biryani. We eagerly enjoyed the meal. You need to also use a semicolon between connectors such as however, nevertheless, moreover, for example, and consequently. Now let's see slashes. You need to use slashes to show choice. You also need to use slash in numerical fractions or formulas. Now let's go to our next topic, prefixes. You'd be able to learn about meaning and use of prefixes and types of prefixes. Prefixes. A prefix is a fragment used before the base word or root. Prefixes can be classified as four groups: quantifying prefixes, locative prefixes, temporal prefixes, and negation prefixes. Let's see quantifying prefixes. These prefixes notify quantity of the base word or root. Let's see some examples. I'd be stating only a couple of examples for each and every prefix. Uni. Uni means one. The following are some of the words which can be formed with uni: uniform, unilateral, unification. Bi. The word bi means two. Bilateral, bifurcation, and biannual. Multi means many. Words such as multinational, multipurpose, multilateral can be formed. Semi means half, semi-final, semi-conscious. Omni. Omni means all, omnipotent, omnipresent. Micro. Micro means small, microsurgery, microwave, microchip. Macro. Macro means large, macroeconomics, macrobiotic. Over means excess, overtax, overestimate, overpay. Now let's see hyper. Hyper means excess, hyperactive, hypertension are some of the words. Under. Under means insufficient, underestimate, understand, undermine, underpay are some of the words. Now let's see locative prefixes. These notify the location of the base word. Circum, it means around. Some of the words are circumflex, circumferential, circumvent. Counter, which means against. Counteract, counterattack, and counterpoint. Endo means internal. Endowment, endorsement, endocrine are some of the words. Epi means on or over. The words are epidemic, episodic, epithelium. Now let's see inter. Inter means between. Interact, interfere, intermission. Intra. Intra means inside. And the words are introduce, introspect, and introvert. Para. Para means along with. Parallel, paramedic, paraphrase are the words. Retro. It means backwards. Some of the words are retroflex, retrospect, retrograde. Now let's see trans. Trans means across. Some of the words are transform, transfer, transfuse. Now let's see temporal prefixes. These notify and express the notion of the base word. Ante, it means before. Antepenult, anterior, antecedent are some of the words. Fore, it means front. Some of the words are forecast, foreclosure, foreground. Pre means before. Prevent, precaution, precede. Neo means new. Neoclassical, neonatal, and neophyte. Now let's see negation prefixes. These notify and express negation in the base word. Means away from, which is anterior. Apathy, abortion. An means a weak form. Anabolic, anagram, analysis. De means free from. Decongestion, deactivate, debug. Dis means against. Disability, disadvantage, and disinfect. In means against. Inability, inaccurate, inactive. Non means not. Non-adherence, non-absorbent, non-adapter. Miss means not. Some of the words are misrepresent, misbehave, and misunderstand. Mal means bad. Malalignment, malfunction, malpractice are some of the words. Our next topic, which is suffixes and roots. The learning outcomes from this chapter are meaning and use of suffix, types of suffixes, meaning and use of roots, and types of roots. Suffixes. Suffixes are the fragments that come at the end of the root to give a different meaning. Let's see noun suffixes. Means one who. Form is used in teacher, worker, writer, sender, opener. Or, which means one who. It can be used in words such as doctor, actor, editor, operator. Suffix, which is also means one who. And the words are addressee, employee, payee. Tion. It changes noun to verb. For example, in the word complicate, if you add tion form, it changes to complication. And similar words such as pollution, contribution, etc. Ist, that is ist form of the suffix, which means person. Scientist, dentist, artist. Ism, which means activity. Buddhism, journalism. Ness, that's ness. It changes noun to adjective. Sad is a noun. Sadness is an adjective. Mood and moodiness. Happy and happiness. Let's see some of the adjective suffixes. Able and able. Able, which means can be done. Adjustable, readable, washable, and reusable. Able, that's ible, which means can be. And words are edible, flexible, convertible. Let's see some of the verb form of suffixes. Ise and ize, ice and eyes form. It changes verbs from adjective. Modernize, industrialize. There are also some of other types of suffixes, such as ment, which can be used in excitement, replacement. Ity, which can be used in productivity, scarcity. Hood, childhood, motherhood. Ship, friendship, relationship, membership. Ive, active, passive, productive. Al, arrival, betrayal, loyal, legal, crucial. OUS form. It can be used in gorgeous, furious, generous. FUL, which can be used in fruitful, regretful, useful, harmful. Less, hopeless, useless, harmless. IFY, which can be used in beautify, purify, verify. Now let's learn something more about roots. Most of the words in English are formed from the Latin roots with different prefixes and suffixes. Let's see some of the roots. A vert means turn. These roots make the words revert, convert, divert. Port means take. Transport, import, export. Duct means lead. Deduct, abduct, and induct are the words which can be formed with duct. Press means push. Impress, depress, and express. Acro means top, height, tip. Acrobat, acronym. Let's see bio. Bio means life or living matter. The words which can be formed are biography, biology, and biosphere. Now let's see carni. It means flesh or meat. Carnivorous. Incarnate. Lab means work. Collaborate, elaborate, laborious are some of the words which can be formed with roots. Now let's go through our next topic, usage problems. Through this chapter you'd be able to learn what is a usage problem, differences between similar words, and appropriate usage. In English, some words have the same spelling and pronunciation but different meanings, and some words with the same pronunciation but different spellings and meanings. You need to know the difference between these confusing words because it helps you to write exactly what you mean. The following are some of the misspelled words. They are confusing because they are very similar in either sound or spelling. You would be able to know the difference between them once you complete studying the list. Now let's go through the list. Accept versus accept. Accept means to take or receive. Accept means excluding. Adapt versus adapt versus adopt. Adapt means adjust or modify. Adept means very skilled and proficient. Adopt means to choose as one's own. Addition versus addition. Addition as in adding or uniting. Edition means series of printings of the same book. 5th edition, 4th edition, 3rd edition and stuff like that. Adverse and averse. Adverse means unfavorable. Averse means strong feeling of opposition. Advice versus advise. Advice with a C, that's ADVICE, means an opinion or a recommendation. Advice with an S, which means to give counsel to. Affect versus effect. Affect means to act on. Effect means the result of that particular affect or action. Affluent and effluent. Affluent means having wealth or property. Effluent means flowing out. Allowed, allowed. Allowed means to give permission to do something. Allowed means speaking with a normal tone and volume. Altar versus altar. Altar means a platform in a church. Alter means to make different or to change. Board versus board. Board is a piece of wood, which is a wooden board or a cardboard. Bored means state of being bored by dullness. It states the mood. Choose versus chose. Choose means to select from a number of possibilities. Chose means past tense for choose. Cite versus cite versus cite. Cite, spelled as CITE, means to quote, and sight, SIGHT, it means an instance of seeing. SITE, it means a location. Coarse, with an A, it means harsh. Course, which is COURSE, it means path or direction. Complement versus complement. Complement with an E, which means something that completes or makes perfect. Compliment. Compliment with I means expression of praise. Device and devise. Devise with C, which means a plan or a scheme or a plot. Device with S, it means elaborate. Disburse versus disperse. Disburse means to pay out. Disbursement of funds or disbursement of payment. Disperse means to drive or send off in various directions. Scatter. Discreet versus discreet. Discreet with double E, DISCREET, which means judicious in one's conduct or speech. Discreet, it means apart or detached from others. Desperate versus desperate. Desperate, which is DESPERATE, which means reckless or dangerous. Similar spelled or similar pronounced word is disparate, which is spelled as DISPARATE, which means distinct in kind. Heard versus heard. HEARD, heard, which means to perceive by the ear or to hear. Herd, HERD, which means a number of animals kept. Herd of sheep. Hole versus hole. Hole, HOLE, it means an opening through something. Whole means full quantity, amount or extent, which is WHOLE. Idle versus idle. Idle means IDLE, which means not working or active. IDOL, idle, means an image. Ingenious versus disingenuous. Ingenious, which means cleverness or originality of an invention. Ingenious means free from reserve. Disingenuous means lacking of frankness. Instance versus instance. An instance is a case of occurrence of anything. Instance, a very short space of time. Leased versus leased. Leased means to give for a lease or to get a lease of contract. Least means smallest in size. Lose versus loss. Lose, that's single O, which means to come, to be without. Loose, LOOSE, which means free or released from. Loss, which means a disadvantage. Pain versus pain. A pane is a flat section or a division. Pain. Pain is a physical suffering. Pair versus pair. Pair means to cut off. A pair is two similar or identical things. Illicit versus illicit. Illicit means to draw or bring out. Illicit means not legally permitted or authorized. Eligible, illegible. Eligible versus illegible. Eligible is fit or proper to be chosen. Illegible means not legible. Emigrant versus immigrant. An emigrant is a person who emigrates as from his or her own native country or region. An immigrant is a person who migrates to another country. Eminent versus eminent. Eminent is high in station or rank. Imminent, which means likely to occur at any moment. Farther versus further. Farther means to go to a greater distance. Further means more extended or additional. Formally versus formerly. Formally means in a formal manner. Formerly means in the past. Fourth versus fourth. Fourth means onward or outward in a place. Fourth is a number which is after the third. Guessed versus guessed. Guessed is to think or believe. Guest is a person who receives the hospitality. Hear versus hear. Hear is listening or to listen to. Here means in this place. Patience versus patience. Patience, the quality of being patient. Patience, a person who is under medical care. Past versus past. Past means obtaining approval. Past means elapsed in time. Peace versus peace. Peace means mutual harmony. Peace is one of the parts which has been separated. Personal versus personnel. Personal means pertaining to. Personnel means a body of persons employed in an organization. Perspective versus prospective. Perspective, a technique of depicting volumes. Prospective means in the future. Quite